Ireland are part of the Info Exchange Group, a not-for-profit social enterprise that tackles the biggest social challenges through the smart and creative use of technology. And for those of you who haven't attended a webinar with us before, Connecting Up and TechSoup facilitates an annual calendar of online webinars, workshops, boot camps and webcons to help the social sector upskill in all things digital. And you can check out our training and education events calendar on both of the websites. So welcome today to today's webinar, Activate Your Marketing Action Plan, Top Tips and Strategies for Non-Profits with Belle Temby and Laura Higgins. And before we begin today, we'll start with a bit of housekeeping. All lines are muted, so if you have any technical issues, please type them into your questions box on your GoToWebinar panel, and I should be able to assist you. If you have any questions during the session, please also type these into the questions box, and we'll have a Q&A session coming up at the end of the webinar. Please note that your comments questions won't be visible to the rest of the group. And if you're on a Wi-Fi connection and have several programs open, please close any programs that you're not using to get the best quality. And please note that this webinar is being recorded, and you'll get a copy of this recording and the slides towards the end of today. And before we start, I'd just like to remind everybody that there'll be a quick survey that comes up at the end of the webinar, and we'd really appreciate any feedback. That's all for me. I will just pass you over to Laura and Belle, who unfortunately her webcam isn't working at the moment. So it's just Laura you'll be seeing today. I'll pass over to them to get things started. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jen.
Sorry, Laura, do you want to go?
Yeah, I was just going to say hi and thank you very much, Jane, for the lovely introduction, and thank you for hosting us today. So as we mentioned, poor Belle has had some issues with her webcam, but she is certainly still here, and you can certainly use the chat function as well during our webinar if you've got any questions along the way. So I might just hand it over to Belle, and she can tell you a little bit about why we're here today.
Hi everybody, Belle Temby here. You may have seen me before and you won't be seeing me today. So I've got obviously Laura here with me. I'm really excited to deliver this session to you today. And we're here to activate your 2021 marketing action plan, providing you with actionable strategies for tips and strategies for nonprofits. So we have a number of slides to take you through today, and just to make sure you're in the right place, we're here today so that you can be guided in setting some goals and drafting a marketing action plan. We want you to consider your content direction and the channels that you'll be using in 2021, maybe even in 2022. We'd like to talk about some tools and tips, some of the latest ideas to engage your audience, and discuss how we can, as a not-for-profit, make an impact, select your social media channels and reach your audience in the best way you can. So your presenters today, well, you've got me, Belle Temby, but first, well, you've already met Laura. Laura, do you want to do a quick intro for yourself?
I would love to. Thank you, Belle. And at least we do get to see your picture on the screen. So that was lucky we included that photo. So yes, as Belle mentioned, I'm Laura from the Inspired Hive, and I've worked in the not-for-profit and also now with not-for-profits for the last 20 years. And that's been in particular in the education, in the adult community education sector, and also health. And I suppose one of the reasons I love working with and have loved working in is because I just see such vibrant communities and the impact that you have on people's everyday lives as well. And it, you know, is a passion of mine, and I do that for work, but I also do it also in my personal life as well, volunteering on lots of local different community groups as well. And within my time, I have held lots of different management roles, especially in the training and marketing area as well. And I have just, I've got a grad certificate in education for sustainability and a commerce degree. And just on the weekend, I pressed the final button on my MBA. So I'm just waiting on those results, but I have lots of experience and wealth of knowledge that I really love to share and empower different people with as well. And I live in regional Victoria, down in the beautiful green rolling hills of Gippsland, where we've got a great life that we live. So that's a little bit about me, and I'll hand over to Belle.
Oh, thanks, Laura. Yes, so Laura and I both share Gippsland, although we might as well be worlds apart. I live in Mallacoota in Victoria, which is a very remote, tiny town. It's still in Victoria, but right near the coast of New South Wales, a beautiful place to be. Like Laura, I have been working in the not-for-profit sector for many years, just over 15 years now, and I have run not-for-profit organisations, small not-for-profits, as the CEO. I've also worked in a lot of projects that bring the two, technology and community, together. So building solutions that help improve the way that we engage, connect and inspire our communities. And I have opened this business, Digital Services Lab, after quite a spell in that sector with my husband, Mike. And we provide websites, and I'll go into a little bit about what our organisation does in a moment. My background is, apart from not-for-profits, is in marketing. So I have official training in marketing, and we've decided to focus on the website/graphic design side of things. So in introducing our business, Digital Services Lab, I've got a little slide here. So we are a for-purpose business, meaning that what we try to do in our business is be more ethical, sustainable and socially just. So that includes from everywhere we purchase goods and services from. We like to work with other like-minded people who have a conscience in that ethical, sustainable and socially just world. We like to work with our clients to inspire, engage and connect with their audiences. And the services we offer are listed here: web design and development, website care and security, search engine optimization services, analytics dashboards, graphic design, consulting and bespoke software solutions such as learning management systems, community directories, special online features and functions for your website, like a membership area, those kind of bespoke software solutions. And Laura, I'd like to find out a little bit more about your business. So we've heard quite a lot about yourself. So could you tell us a bit about the Inspired Hive?
Absolutely. Thank you, Belle. And, you know, one of the things with the Inspired Hive is that we do like to collaborate with like-minded people. And certainly that's why Belle and I have collaborated together, because we really want to make sure that we are making a difference in our communities and educating and empowering people with different skills and knowledge that we can bring to you. So that's certainly why Belle and I are together, but certainly when I work with organisations in the not-for-profit sector, that's what we aim to achieve. And, you know, if I can help one person in their community, or whether it's a whole group of people, so that they can live a more sustainable and have a really vibrant community, that's what we really strive to achieve. And we do that through creating innovative and creative strategies for those organisations to grow through marketing. And that's where we offer some marketing mentoring. So I work alongside you, because I do absolutely get and understand that working in a not-for-profit, you do have to do absolutely everything. I have been there from doing reception to doing finances, HR, doing business development, and that's why I started Inspired Hive, because I knew that organisations really needed some specific help, and that's what we can do through our marketing mentoring. We also do social media strategy and also marketing strategies as well. And we offer training sessions, and today's certainly one, but we also offer training sessions through my business on social media, and also how to get digital learning occurring within organisations. And that's certainly been a really big one over the last 12 months, where I've been helping a lot of adult community education providers move to the online blended learning platform, because I am also a qualified trainer as well. So that's a little bit about me. And so we're going to start diving into what we're going to be doing today, and it's going to be a really practical session. And so we really want to spend this time with you to really start getting clear on what you're going to do in your marketing plan. So one of the first things I'd like for you to do is just to pop in the chat down there, just to introduce yourself and where you're from. That would be lovely as we get our next slide up that Belle's going to talk about.
Great, thank you. I look forward to seeing where everyone's from today. So I've just firstly in the chat box, while you're popping in there where you're from, I've got, I'm putting a link in, and we might need Jane's help for this. I'm putting a link in for a document. It's a marketing action plan template. Jane, is that able to be made available to the entire audience?
Yep, they should have received that.
There we go.
Hang on, I'll just do it again.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just going to share that one more. Okay, good. Okay, great. So before we begin, I want you to download that template. The last link that I gave, or the link that has the number 1 at the very end of it, will download that template directly to your computer, and you won't have to go to Dropbox itself to download it. So hopefully you'll see that one there. Then I just wanted to touch some of the things that we need to be aware of if we're going to have a marketing action plan. We really want to understand who our audience are. So who are the people that you're engaging with? Where are they? What is their location? Where are they online? Where do they hang out? We want to know all of that. How old they are and what they are going through. So it's really important to understand your audience, obviously, before you start a marketing plan. And we will take you through getting to know your audience a little bit better today. Another thing that we need to have up to date, so the idea often of a marketing plan is that you will drive traffic from lots of online channels to your website. So the call to action within your advertisements can be a lot of different things, that's fine. But often the website is the central hub, the central online hub for information. So it's really important that if you're going to invest in time in putting, oh, did you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, Belle.
Oh, thank you, sorry. It's very important that we invest time in our website before we invest time in a marketing action plan. So you want to just make sure that your website does work. If you're leading traffic to your website, or people are going to be increasing views on the website, we want to make sure that it works, that it is well designed and user friendly, that it's a useful tool for people, and that it's easy to navigate. The other thing that you want to do before you begin a marketing action plan is allocate resources. It doesn't always have to be about money. We all know money helps, and that's great, but it is also about allocating people, people that have the right skills. It's about allocating time, so ensuring that you might have a staff member, and often we have the accidental IT person and the accidental marketing person and the accidental social media person. And some of us are lucky enough to have a physical resource one day a week or even full time. And we just want to make sure that those resources are actually allocated. Otherwise, this is going to fall apart pretty quickly for you. So then we also want to make sure that you are planning ahead, and of course today is going to cover some of that, but before you begin our plan, obviously you want to be able to have the what, why, when, who, and have some goals around your marketing. And then once you've allocated resources, that's fantastic, but we also need you to track all of the data. So understand your baseline data, where you're at today, and use that as a measure of success against the activities that you're going to undertake in the future. Baseline data could include your current Google Analytics on your website to understand how much traffic is coming to your website, and some other great baseline data is out there on nearly all digital tools that provide you with some analytics and reporting. So it is really good to understand your position now to make sure that what you are putting time and effort into is actually successful and is increasing your visibility and your engagement with people. I also like to recommend having some patience while we undertake these tasks, because some things are trial and error. So these are the things that I wanted you to be aware of as we get into it. So we've got a number of people commenting about where they're from. So that's we've got people from New Zealand over the ditch. Hello. And people in Ferntree Gully, that's where my dad lives. Wenduri in Ballarat Way. Great, good to see everybody here. Gisborne, excellent.
And it's Wenduri, Belle.
Wenduri, oh right, I'm sorry, my pronunciation of all the towns of Victoria. Oh. Toowoomba in Queensland. So welcome everybody. It's great to see who you are, where you're from and where you're living. And I'm just going to hand over now. We're going to get stuck in. Has everybody got their marketing action plan? Just a reminder to download that document there. And let's get started. How about that, Laura?
Absolutely. Thank you, Belle. So yes, hopefully you've got that document and you can open it up and you can get started on working on your marketing action plan today. Because let's make the most of the time that we are here together. So what we're going to do, it actually all starts with some of the bigger picture things, which is your vision, your mission, and also your values. And why we actually start with that is it's really important that anything that you do with marketing is actually going to be making sure that you are reaching your organisation's vision, mission, and values. So it is all interlinked with each other. So it would be fabulous if you're able to write down, if you know what some of these are. But if you think about your vision is ultimately where you want to head, and it's your really big why. And it's often what inspires and motivates your organisation to do what it does. And we're going to give you some examples of that shortly as well, just to give you a bit of an idea what some organisations' vision and mission and values look like. And then your mission is how you're going to go about achieving your vision. So it's really where you start putting the wheels into action so that you can accelerate your progress so that you can reach ultimately what you're trying to achieve through your vision. And then your values is really where it starts getting quite unique, and it talks about your people and who you actually interact with. And it is often something that goes into your everyday. And it is often something that will really resonate with your particular audience as well. And it talks more about like your character and what you're trying to achieve. So, you know, some things it might say like being committed or delivers excellence or is striving to make a difference. So we're going to go through some of these examples, but that's just a little background about why we need to start with the bigger picture before we start drilling down on your actual marketing action plan. So what we're going to do next, and Jane, I'll just ask for your assistance on this as well. We're just going to pop up a little poll. So Belle, excellent. The poll is up. So we would love you to answer this. Does your organisation have a strong vision, mission and values statement? Now, I know not everybody will know this. So we've also got we're working on it, or you might be unsure, but we would love to see if, where you're actually at and if you know what they are. And, you know, often these are things that might sit within your strategic plan, or it might, hopefully it's not a document that's sitting in the bookshelf that you might, but we do know sometimes it is. So if you're able to answer that, I'll just give you 10 more seconds and then we'll get the results up of that poll. Excellent, thanks Jane. So, fantastic, we've got 69% say yes, we've got 31% saying we're working on it. And that's really interesting because I think what has happened is organisations may have had those in place for a period of time, and what I found that over a period of time, and especially last year, the year that was, often organisations last year were going back to their mission and vision because things have changed and shifted as well. So we'll go a little bit more into that as we go down into our examples.
Great. So do you want to share your example first, Laura?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. And I do see that there are a few Learn Local adult community education providers on here. So they may know of North Melbourne Language and Learning. So their vision is to be the leading centre for COLD, so culturally and linguistically diverse community, recognised for enriching and empowering the lives of people it serves. And certainly if you know this organisation, or some of you may not, where they actually are is in, you know, they're in the CBD, and you may have remembered last year during lockdown that there were housing towers that were put into a heavy lockdown pretty much immediately. And North Melbourne is Language and Learning is at the bottom of those particular towers. So they went into heavy lockdown, and the majority of the people that they work with are based in these towers. So that became front and centre, and their main focus was helping work with those particular people. So their vision was to give the adult residents of North Melbourne the language and learning needed to build a better lives for themselves and their families. And so I think with their mission, you know, different times they can go back to that. So last year, yes, they were in lockdown, but then this year they're out of lockdown. But one of the things that they learnt about that was a lot of the residents didn't actually have access to digital technology. They didn't have a phone or an iPad or a computer. So they were really, really isolated. And then if they did have access to that, they didn't have internet as well. So this year, one of their things that they're doing is they're really working on getting access to everybody in digital, using digital technology and having access to those different resources. And that's what's really driving them this year. So Belle, I'll get you to talk about Wallen with your vision and mission.
Yeah, great. So I chose this organisation, Transition Village Wallen, one of my clients, because I think that they have a really clear and concise vision and mission statement. So their vision is to build an off-the-grid tiny house community designed to accommodate homeless people with the dignity and care they deserve. Their mission is to provide safe, short-term, supported accommodation for people experiencing or at risk of homelessness in a village of tiny homes. So the reason that I've shared this is it's so simple to understand exactly where they are hoping to go and what they are doing every day. And I would just like to point out that when you have a really clear and concise vision and mission statement, people can emotionally connect with your organisation when they share that same vision for a community, a society, and they know then how to get on board and be engaged with your mission. So in our marketing action template that we've got, we'd like you to start filling this out today. So if you haven't already, please have a go at writing your own vision and mission, and perhaps thinking about some of the values that your organisation holds. Values, just in the way a vision and mission statement work, can also help people understand if they want to align themselves to your cause. So when you have a client or one of their family members, if they're able to relate to you, if your values are similar to theirs, then it's a way for them to understand that when they connect with you, that they've got a little bit of trust there because you're on the same page. So when you're unclear about that, then people become more uncertain about who it is they're connecting with and why they should connect with you. So this can be a good way to stand out from the crowd. So we've got in here, we've just taken a screenshot essentially of the plan that we've given you, and we've filled it out with some examples. So again, this is Transition Village Dwellin that we've got here, and this is just the first 3 of the values. They do have more. This is what they're all about. So hopefully you've had some time to complete that, and we'll move on to the next part of your career plan. Sorry, your career plan, your marketing plan.
Excellent.
Okay. So Laura, am I reading this one out?
Go for it, Val.
Okay, great. Okay, so what we want to do is be clear on your organization's goals. So these aren't necessarily your marketing goals at this stage. What we want to do is make sure that we align your organization goals with your marketing goals once we get into setting marketing actions and plans. So we need to understand where your organization is going in 2021 or to 2022. What's the strategic plan? What are the individual or independent tasks that need to happen to achieve your overall organization's mission? So some examples that we have here is that the goal of your organization might be to increase participation in programs, activities, or courses. Another goal might be that you want to decrease the time you spend or the resources that you put into certain activities. So perhaps you want to change or decrease your marketing budget. You want to stop printing flyers. You may want to move to online platforms and raise awareness digitally. These are just examples. Another goal of your organization might be that you have a new program or a new service that you're going to launch this year, or perhaps you want to relaunch a service, especially given the year we had last year, knowing that a little bit of the sentiment about your organization may have been lost in the community since COVID. Goal 4, apply for numerous grants and win a percentage of them. That's a really common one, obviously, for organizations. And goal 5 might be the impact that you have in a community. So a small organization like Transition Village Dwellin might want to get more people into a shelter or into some sort of supported accommodation, whereas a larger organization may have a goal to decrease the rates of domestic violence in the state. So the reason we want you to write down all of the organization's goals for 2021 is to make sure that when you're marketing these goals, when you're marketing the organization, that your marketing directly aligns to these goals. So how through my marketing can I help the organization increase participation in programs? So I hope that makes sense. So we're usually aiming to solve an underlying social or economic issue, and we want to help certain disadvantaged individuals rather than just gain profit. So see how you go in understanding the goals, and this might identify for you that you need to speak to some other people within the organisation to understand where they're really going.
And I was just going to add to that too, Belle.
Yeah.
I have been working with a lot of organisations this year. One of their goals for this year is to actually try to get people back into their organisation. And they're having to really think about how they go about doing that within their marketing. And certainly people are still feeling quite wary about going back into organisations. So that might be one goal that just pops to my mind for this current period of time.
Yeah, definitely. That's a really good point. Absolutely. So in your marketing template, write down all of the organizational goals for the year. You may not have a focus on this in your marketing, but it's really good to understand where you're headed. And again, we've just got some examples here of Transition Village Wallen. So in the first year, they want to complete the village. At this point, they're actually not assisting any residents because they're still not shovel ready. A lot of planning issues have occurred and COVID obviously got in the way. With a secondary goal is to intake residents by December 2021. So these are the two main focuses of Transition Village Wallen. How they're going to achieve that is a different story for today. So at the moment, we just want to get down all those goals. And
it might only be a few goals that you put down for today as well. So see what you can jot down, and feel free to share any of those goals that you may want to achieve in the chat as well, because we can certainly refer back to those through the presentation as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you're only just jotting things down, dot pointing information today. The idea is that you can take this away and have a more comprehensive go at it beyond this webinar. Okay, so let's move on now. I'll hand back over to you, Laura, for budgeting.
Excellent. And donuts always capture my attention, probably for the wrong reasons, but maybe it was because donut day, I don't know. No COVID cases, something or other like that. But I suppose the reason we've got this particular picture up is you want to be able to make sure that the activities that you do, you're going to get a bit of a return on investment. And I'm just going to read out a quote here from Seth Godin. And he says, the cost of being wrong is less than the cost of doing nothing. So if you think about that as far as marketing, I certainly know that not-for-profits, when I ask them, what budget do you have for marketing? I get this look of, oh my goodness, I have no money. Often that can be the response, and I completely get and understand that. But there is, but often when we start breaking that down, what we find is with your budget, you can include things like people and people doing particular things. So with your marketing, it is better to do some things than do nothing at all. And even if you do get it wrong the first time, you can always try again. So I suppose with your budget, you need to think about what you want to be able to achieve, and this is where you'll go back to your goals. But with your budget, you want to be able to think about what you can do that's going to give you the greatest return on your investment. So is it that you can send some people out to different community events? Is it that you can redo your website? Is it that you want to concentrate on somebody looking after social media? Is it that you want to advertise? Is it that you want to run an actual event where you can get people coming into your organisation? And I suppose what I wanted to also say and highlight, because we do get and understand that budgets can be fairly limited within not-for-profits, there are lots of activities that you can actually do that is just going to cost people's time and effort, which sometimes that's even quite difficult too. I get that and understand that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a printing out a flyer, or we're going to do a whole new website that may cost a lot of money. And Belle's just, yeah, flick that next one up, Belle,
Okay.
just with the different examples. Or it might be that the example here that we've given is that you might have 4 hours of Belle's time each month that you can really pick her brain and work on getting your website up to date and making it user friendly, and that even the words within your website is speaking to your audience as well. You can even use volunteers as well. That can be some really effective use of your volunteers. And, you know, often, and I think I just touched on it before about people being really a bit hesitant about getting back into organisations. And I think one of the things that I've learned over the time is in not-for-profits is if you put on a special event, which might even be an afternoon tea or a barbecue or something or other like that, people love coming to not-for-profits to come and get food. There is something about food and not-for-profits. But I think that's because people within these organisations are really friendly and caring, and by doing something like putting on a barbecue, you get the opportunity to speak to people and to engage with your community and to find out about how you might help them as well. One of the other great ideas that Belle did with Wallen was internships, and getting an intern that's studying at the local university to come along and help with some different activities. They're a great resource, and they're always looking for work experience as well. So try to tap in to your local university or even TAFE or Learn Local organisation that might have somebody that can come along. I'm working with one organisation at the moment, and we've been talking about getting some photos of their participants and also of their staff, so we can put that up onto their website. So they've actually got one of the local students that's studying at a adult community education provider. They're learning photography. So they're coming now and doing some work placement by taking some fantastic photos. And the other thing as well, you know, there are a whole different range of activities that we're going to discuss further down as well that might spark your interest. So hopefully you've had some time to think about your budget there. So it can be time or money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just wanted to add to that, Laura, that the audience here today might want to write down a couple of courses that people might be studying where a university or TAFE could link them in, because sometimes you think, well, what course would they be doing? So one is obviously marketing. Another course is business administration, and they also have, there's placement hours that students have to do, which is outside of an internship, and then other universities offer more structured formal internship arrangements, and as long as you are a not-for-profit, those students, you don't have to actually pay an hourly rate. You can have some kind of a reimbursement if you like, but you definitely do need to have some time allocated there. For an example, we have an intern with Transition Village Wallen, and I spend about 1 hour every couple of months, and we do really well-structured meetings with a lot of planning that goes into it, but she does all of their social media, which is fantastic. She's young, she's motivated, She's learnt at university all of the latest trends, so it's an incredibly valuable experience, and it's great for the not-for-profit who obviously who can't afford to otherwise have that kind of reach, utilizing a more expert level person. So there are obviously some things that can't be done. She's not yet understanding things like Facebook advertising, but definitely business administration, marketing. You might find some website development students, anyone that's studying IT. So there's a lot of crossover in these courses now, but definitely have a chat with your local training organisations. And okay, so that's probably enough time for people to have written their budgets into the template. So now we want to think about your marketing action plan. And so who is your target audience? Part 4 of your marketing action plan, who is your target audience? Are they, and this is, you as a not-for-profit are very unique compared to other businesses. You have a range of stakeholders that you will likely be engaging with. Some you may not have really considered today, although I'm sure you have. So you've got your clients. You have obviously your clients' family members. Not all the time are our clients the ones that are coming directly to us. You know, it could be anyone in the family referring someone to our organisations, especially for clients in distress. You have members, so a lot of us are member organisations, and I might say my observation is that a lot of member organisations really struggle to know how to provide a space for their members where their members are actually having or receiving more value or more perceived value than the general public. So, you know, what are those nuggets of gold that you can hold back that are just for your members, whilst also making sure that you offer a fantastic experience to the general public. Your clients are referrers. They are from other community organisations, medical health practitioners, etc. You've got donors, of course, and that could be money. It could be gifts or goods or services. There's a lot of different donors there, so that's almost 4 different audience types already. And then, of course, your partner organisations, and partner organisations here include people that fund you. So this stakeholder landscape is huge. There are others. We've talked about volunteers already today, so volunteers are obviously a very important part of the organisation, and then all of those other stakeholders. So what we want you to do today in your marketing action plan template is to write down, there's a who column. I'm going to switch slides for a moment. There is a who column. So start writing down all of those different audience types that you have so that we can expand on those in a moment. Within that, we often have the demographics of those people. So there are some organisations who appeal to a hugely broad audience. The truth is, though, we usually have a majority of our clients, our stakeholders, coming from a specific demographic. So think about how old they are. What gender are they typically? And you may just have a 50-50 mix, that's fine. Are they working? If they are working, are they from a particular occupation? If you don't know their age, what stage of life are they at? What location, like where are they based? And what education do they have? The more that you know about your target audience, the better and more specific your marketing can become in reaching those people. So what are their key attributes? What are their values? What are their interests? What are their needs, wants, fears, hopes, and aspirations? If you can get to this minute level of detail about your audience types, you will really begin to speak to that audience type and draw more people from your target audience to your organization. And I have a lot of conversations all the time about niching, because it is called niching when we say, okay, well, we're going to the exclusion of other parts of the community or the audience, we're going to target these specific people. So if you're a mental health organisation, you're going to be targeting people that do have depression, are feeling isolated, have precursors to particular mental health issues. That is who that organisation is trying to target. If you're running courses, let's say you might be a neighbourhood centre and you're running a number of courses. It could be anything from a financial course to a bread making course. And within those two courses, you might have two very different target audiences, but when you can hone in and speak to them individually, then you really be able to draw in the right participant for the course that you're offering. So where are they spending their time? Are they searching for information on Google? And I can assure you that nearly everybody is. Around, well, over 90% of Australia is using Google, and they're typing in some of the fears and concerns that they don't even speak to their best friends or family. There's a lot of insights that you can get from using Google Analytics and keyword research. Are they using Facebook, other social media platforms such as LinkedIn, YouTube, podcasting, reading news? So if you can understand where they are, that's going to help you target how you're going to reach them. And then, of course, what problems are they experiencing? Is it health-related, family-related, education, work issues? Are they having access? Are they experiencing loneliness? Do they have income worries or relationship troubles? And on the flip side of that, you could look at, well, what are they trying to build on? So are they trying to build on a strength or learn a new skill? They can all be related to a problem. So most of the time in business and not-for-profits, we're trying to solve people's problems and help them get to the next level that they want to be at. So hopefully you've been able to make some headway in your marketing template. And here are some examples of Transition Village Wallen volunteers currently are mainly aged 40 to 80, and they're both an even mix of men and women. Their key attributes are that they have spare time each month, and their interests are often at this stage of the project where we're building the village, are construction or administration. So when we're reaching out to people through Facebook, because we know that they're spending time on Facebook, or we're going out directly and we have a face in the community at markets, etc. So we understand that that's where they're spending their time, and that's how we try to reach them. And we talk very specifically that we are looking for people that are in construction or have admin style backgrounds or skills that they can offer. What problems they are experiencing? Most of the people engaged with Transition Village Wallen actually want somewhere to belong. They might be new to the community in Wallen, and they're looking to meet new people and basically connect within Wallen. Another target audience example is community organisations, and within that, the demographic is social workers and housing workers specifically. Their key attributes are that they are people who refer other people to housing services. Where are they spending their time? They're often very busy. We haven't filled that in at the moment, and they're hard to reach. And what problems they are experiencing are that there is not enough housing stock to support the increasing homeless population, especially in the Wallen area. So some of the ways that you might get started with, if you don't already know your target audience, hopefully that this may have uncovered some pieces of information that you might want to find out about who you're engaging with, where they come from and what their key attributes are. The other one is that you may want to start doing some research about the demographics of people within your community. So having a look at the Australian Bureau of Statistics will really help you get kick-started with some demographics. So I hope you've had some time to do that. And I'm now going to hand over to Laura, whose face you can see.
Thanks, Belle. And yes, especially the ABS is really good, especially if you're new to a particular area as well and you're not sure who lives there, and you know, their educational level, their income level. It gives you a wealth of information. So that's a great little tip, along with all those other ones too, Belle. Thanks. Now, the next thing is when we are doing our marketing plan, we actually do need to look backwards. And the reason we actually do this is because we want to work out what has worked well, what didn't work so well. And so when we look back, if you look back on 2020, or maybe even you want to go back to 2019, because we know 2020 was a year that was. So if you go back to 2020 or 2019 and just have a look at some of the things that you did. So when we think about things that we want to keep doing, we want to have a look at those things that were working well. So there's some of your strengths that you have. And they're some of the things that will really set you apart from other people and other organisations out there. And it will also show some of the highlights of different things that you've done throughout the year that you have particularly loved. But really, it's what your people that come to your organisations have really loved. And that will tell you some of the qualities of those different activities that you have done. You also want to have a look at some of the opportunities. And that's where you want to be thinking about, especially I think 2020, some of the opportunities that I'm seeing come out of it, and especially with some people were really hesitant, especially in that education space, that people's attendance to actual classes maybe in 2019 may have been quite spasmodic. But then we found in 2020 that when we started going online and into blended learning, the attendance rate actually increased. So that sort of shows us sometimes that, yes, even during a pandemic, there were some really good things that can come out of that. So think about some of those things that perhaps shifted last year as far as what and how you went about doing particular things. And there might be particular things that you thought, oh yes, you know, I really wanted to do that more, but we can actually improve upon that, but maybe we didn't have the time given that the year was. So just jot all of your different ideas down under that keep going column. And then when we go across to that ditch or revise column, there's some of the things that we want to think about that, yes, you can improve on, or maybe you didn't have enough resources to be able to adequately do that particular activity. Or perhaps there's just something that you think, oh, you know, we tried it, we didn't do it very well, we're going to let someone else do it. So, or it might be something that you go, okay, yes, we did try it, and we actually didn't get any engagement, any uptake in it. And the example there that we've put was Twitter. But you might have lots of different social media platforms that you've sort of dabbled in, and some things worked, some things didn't. So you might actually go, oh, you know what, I'm not going to do that particular platform, because there are lots of different platforms out there. So I'm not going to spend too much more time on that, because it is quite a personal thing to your organisation that you work in, but it is an important step. And it's something that I always do when I start working with my clients, just to do that reflection of what has been. So the next thing that we're going to go on with is we're going to actually have a look at some of the different marketing channels. So I will hand over to Belle.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. So we've got the channels, we've got some examples of channels that you might use, both digital and traditional, that you may select in your marketing action plan. So good thing now is to jot down all of the channels that you will use. The website, will you use blogs, blogs are a fantastic way of getting information out there, especially if it's more verbose or specific, and it can help you build traffic to the website through search engine optimization and keyword and using keywords to drive traffic. You've got obviously your social media channels, and that's a combination of or selecting just one or two: Facebook, Twitter, Insta, LinkedIn, YouTube. You've got email marketing, podcasting that might be something for you to consider, video applications, software applications that is, or applications for the phone, and of course using Google. If it isn't a part of your marketing action plan already, I would like you to write Google My Business down. So if you Google My Business, it is a free service from Google. You do have to sign up, verify your information, but it will help you be discovered in online search through Google in Maps and in general searches. So you add your location, you add as much information about your business as possible, and it's called Google My Business. It's very easy to find, so and step-by-step instructions. So as soon as you Google that, you'll be taken through step-by-step to set up your account. It is free. It takes an hour maximum if you're unfamiliar with the tools, but as long as you have all the information about your business, your not-for-profit, you should be able to get cracking with that even today. Of course, you've got all your traditional media, and that's your print ads in any type of newspaper or publication. You've got direct mail, giveaways that that you might provide at markets, shopping centres. You've got press releases, events that you might be putting on, or events that you might be attending, publications, referral strategies, strategic alliances, and networking. So having a think about strategic alliances are an absolute gem, and I think if you have a bigger organization that has a greater reach than you, it can really catapult you to a new audience and a similar audience very quickly. So a strategic alliance is a fantastic way of meeting new people, meeting your target audience, but it's also about you understanding that you can add value to a larger organization just as they can add value to you. So starting up a conversation talking about how you can tackle an issue together or tackle a problem where it's better with more heads than just one. So thinking about strategic alliances as a way to get your message out there is highly recommended. And that would be the same, of course, with networking and attending as many networking events as you possibly can. Obviously, you still have to maintain all of your regular role, but have a think about that. I'm going to hand over to our expert marketing person, Laura, for the next slide, just talking a little bit more in depth about the channels for social media. That's right, Laura, yes?
Yes, thank you, Belle. And I was just actually going to add to events as well. Something that just popped into my mind was a lot of organisations at the moment are about to have their AGMs. So just thinking about that and thinking about inviting your local member of parliament or some guests along is also another good activity for the next month or two as well. So as Belle mentioned, yes, social media is my jam. And it's one of the areas that I do like, but I also absolutely do like some of that traditional type of stuff too, and sort of flipping some of the things on their head to make them fun and exciting, and put that creative hat on at the same time. But I suppose we want to think about what channels you're going to select now, or even in 2021. And some of the really interesting stats is 88% of Australians use the internet. And of those people that do use it, a lot of them are actually using it via their mobile. So you want to make sure that you're having, especially like with your website, for example, that you're wanting to make sure that it is accessible via mobile. But it does mean that people can access information anywhere at any time. And these are just some of the social media platforms that different people can work with. And I know that there are certainly more out there, but these are sort of the major ones. So YouTube, it is actually the most commonly used social media platform with 80%, and it's used across all ages. And yes, you know, my pa, 88, he jumps on it on his phone and he Googles how to fix something. Other people go on to work out how to fix maybe issues with their PC, or it might be that you go on to learn something new. So you do need to think about that in your strategy and different activities that you might do. But a lot of the younger people are always on YouTube. And certainly if you do have a younger cohort, you may want to think about doing some short little videos that will capture their attention and be creative. And there are particular things like with videos as well, you do want to keep them fairly short so that they're not long and rambling as well. So that is certainly one platform there. Facebook, and that is 80% use Facebook, aged between 16 and 64. So it is the most used platform across all of the different ages. And it is interesting though at the moment, because I will say over the last month there has been some changes, because they did kick off a lot of not-for-profit organisations because they weren't meeting apparently their guidelines. So there's been a bit of backflack about that, and I know some organisations are thinking about how they will use Facebook in the future. But that's just to keep in mind, I suppose. Yes, social media is out there, but you also want to think about what happens if my page does get shut down. So you want to make sure that you've got authentication methods in place, but then also want to make sure that your marketing mix has got different places and points that people can actually access you at as well. So just keep that in mind. Instagram is one of the fastest growing platforms, and that is where we're seeing Generation X, which is those born, 40% of them, and then we're seeing millennials, and then Gen Z is at 69%, and Generation Alpha, which this is really interesting, it's 19%, and if any of you know, Generation Alpha are actually kindergarten, preschool age people today, but they're really tech savvy. Not sure why they're on Instagram though, because they should be over 15. That's the mum coming out in me. But I suppose with that, it's the millennials and the Gen Z that are on Instagram. So, you know, if you do have people in that age bracket of sort of 25 to 45, you want to be thinking about, you know, the platforms, and a lot of those age group, they are hanging out on Instagram. So you want to be able to think about that. And then the other one is LinkedIn. And so this is really more of your professional platform. And even as an organization, you can have a page on LinkedIn. And I've seen some organizations that have fantastic LinkedIn pages that I've been working with them on. And that's actually helped them get donations in, because it is a lot of professionals that are managers, CEOs, that may be looking to give something back to local communities as well. But I suppose you need to know the purpose of, you know, who your audience is and where you're going to try to capture your audience attention through some of these different platforms that I have mentioned. And then certainly with these platforms, you can have a whole social media strategy to go behind that as well. We're not going to go into that today, but that's certainly something that I can help you with as well. But similarly, I know that Connecting Up do run some webinars on that as well at the same time. So just think about your platforms. It is really difficult to be across all of them, but think about your audience, who they are and where they hang out, and that will help you choose one of your particular platforms. And so with our example in our template, so we said some of our marketing channels were going to be Facebook, where our investment was one of our staff members was going to have 1 hour a week where they were going to try to at least get people engaging with their posts. And that's about how they go about writing their content and thinking about some of their values. And Belle mentioned some of that before as well in her previous example. Then also our website. So websites are something that needs to be current because, as Belle mentioned, people will go through Google, but if your website is front and center by increasing your analytics and you're being seen through search engine optimization that Belle's going to talk about a little bit later as well. That is another one as well that you can do, but you might use your website to get people to find out information and so that they can come and learn more, or you might be giving them a particular resource. Or you might have a particular event that's coming and you want people to register via that website. And then another one was, you know, your local paper and tapping into that particular resource, because you might ask for somebody to come out and do a story on your particular organisation if you've got an event coming. Or the other thing that you can do is actually write a press release and send that to them as well.
Yeah, I just I wanted to add to that, Laura, with it's a little bit of an untapped resource, I think, for a lot of not-for-profits, but you may or may not be aware that you can contact your local newspaper and local publications and ask them, and this actually could apply to a secondary school or a primary school newsletter, because they're publishing content a lot and they are actually looking for helpful articles, how-to. So if you have a professional within your network, within your organization that can contribute, so one I'm thinking of could be 5 tips for stronger parenting, or how to have conversations with your kids, like any types of articles that you can think of that would be of interest to the community. You can actually reach out to your local newspaper, have a chat with them and talk about the fact that you are a professional, that you have X amount of qualifications or experience in a particular field, and you would like to become a contributor to their publication. We have one of my clients at the moment is doing that, and it's had a fantastic response, and they've come back to her and said basically that you can publish as many articles as you would like when it comes to talking about young people. So I think it's a really interesting way to get your message out there. It is free, but you do of course have to write an article. But some of them could be quite small, and I'm thinking again just in that neighbourhood house space that you could be, it could even be with some of the courses or programs that you're offering, if they were bread making or candle making or whatever it was, that you could actually have the trainer write a little how-to on the particular course that you're offering and then send that in to the local paper. But I would ask them first, instead of trying to go backwards and putting all the effort in, to see if that is something that they might be interested in collaborating on.
I think that is a good point too, Belle, is actually asking and trying to make those connections to the journalists within that publication, so that you can call them and have that conversation before you do something is really important. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no worries. And I'll just add to that. Yeah, look, I'm a person that lives in a pretty digital world day to day, and everything that I do is about relationships. Our whole society still functions on having good, strong, trusting relationships with people. So the more that you can reach out within your community and actually make the effort in that face-to-face environment. I think we all know that we miss probably 50% of the emails that come through. We are overrun with promotions and lots of inbox overload. So absolutely getting out there and actually getting to know people is still very much alive and kicking as a strategy. So just moving on now to your point of difference, which is a really important part of running a not-for-profit organisation. In some instances, you might be in a remote community where you have an abundance of captive people, captive audiences, and you're the only person that offers a particular service, and that's fantastic. For everybody else, we need to start establishing a point of difference. So in many of the marketing course, you might have seen 4 Ps, 3 Ps, 7 Ps. We've decided to go with 6 Ps today. And so the Ps are representing the different points of difference that your organisation may offer. So in thinking about your product or service that you offer, is the point of difference that you have something that no one else has in the design, the quality or the features of that product or service? Do you have options available that other people don't offer or other organisations don't offer? Is your physical location a point of difference? Or is the fact that you're on a particular digital medium or multi-channel mediums a point of difference? Can people engage with you on Zoom? Do you have a hybrid model since COVID? So is your place the point of difference? If you refer also to your marketing template as I go through these slides, you can start putting in some dot points about what you think your points of difference are. Is it price? So are you offering discounts like no one else, the particular timing that a person can reach something? So that could be you have a Mother's Day fundraising event, which actually goes into quite a few different points of difference, but the price might be based on, you know, you have a Mother's Day special, you have an Easter special or a Christmas special. Do you have special offers in your price? So do you have a price point of difference within your organisation? Perhaps you're free. Then there's promoting. So in your promoting, what are your points of difference? Is it content? You're able to publish a huge amount of content. You have a network of people that are offering content that helps your community or helps your audience solve problems. Perhaps your communication and your messaging is your point of difference. The next one is people, of course, so the people you work with or for, and that could be that you have a very specific niche audience. That goes back into our audience deep dive that we went through before. And then your partners, so perhaps the partners that you work with are your point of difference. So how do you collaborate or partner to offer more to your clients and or their family members or your community? So having a look at some examples here, this is again Transition Village Wallen. So they have a point of difference in every one of our 6 Ps, and you may only have one point of difference, and that's fine. You don't have to scurry to find 6 different points of difference. We just need to get one and then be able to highlight that and communicate that back to our audiences. So the product or service point of difference for Transition Village Wallen is that they have a tiny house village. It's very cool. It's a fairly new concept in Australia, although there are some other tiny house villages overseas, and they offer sustainable living. So that's another point of difference, because often homeless services don't offer sustainable living. So there are solar panels, a huge off-the-grid network that they're trying to create, and then permaculture practices that are happening at the village. That's a huge point of difference. And I think not everybody, of course, just anyone who's homeless could have had many different circumstances occur, but that might really appeal to some people who are wanting to get back on their feet, and they actually have a choice in the type of service they engage with, because it does align to their values. So and it's also providing them with a new perspective on how they might live in the future after they leave the tiny house village. The place is a point of difference because there's simply not another service of that type in Wallan itself, and Wallan is a huge growing population in Victoria. The price. The service is funded, though it requires resident contributions, which is also a skill in learning budgeting and contributing from the residents directly in making that transition from homelessness to more permanent housing. In promoting, I put that they have a point of difference, that they offer rock and roll music fundraising events. So that's pretty fun, and they have a rock and roll night coming up soon, but they're always offering music events because they've basically, the CEO's daughter is a professional musician. She has a network of professional musicians around her, and so that's something that they've kind of fallen into, but the people in Wallan love it because there's not a lot of concerts that are happening there, so it's a really good way for them to raise money. In people, they have a point of difference in what they're offering their clients, because homeless people can bring their pets with them to the village. So pets being the big point of difference, but people that own pets. Partners, the council and local politicians support Transition Village Wallan. So that is a bit of a point of difference for such a kind of small organisation with some new ideas that aren't often funded by those bigger government groups. So it's quite an exciting partnership to have with those people. So have a think about your points of difference, dig deep. I think everybody has a unique offering. You have an incredible purpose. There's something that you'll be offering that is really different, and you'll be able to communicate that with your community. So handing over back to Laura on the setting the goals and bringing together our marketing action plan.
Thank you, Val. And look, and I know not-for-profits, you know, you work in the not-for-profits, and the reason people work in the not-for-profits is people have got the really, really big hearts and they want to be able to make a difference. And often you're in doing the doing and getting things done on the ground, but it's really important to actually set the goals. And there are lots of different reasons why this is really important. So actually taking the time to jot down why you need to set your particular goals is really important. So do take some time in this. So you want to think about your why. So a why might be that you're wanting to decrease unemployment in your particular region. So that might be your particular why. So you want to relate it back again to your overall goals and mission and vision of your organisation. So yes, you want to be able to think about what is that goal? Why is it that you're wanting to achieve that? The next one is how you're going to go about achieving that. So if you're wanting to decrease unemployment, and we often know that unemployment is absolutely a huge issue, one of the things might be that people need new skills and they need new opportunities, so to be able to learn new things. Or it might be that people need some confidence to go back into the workplace and into the workforce. So there might be some programs that people might be able to offer around that. And so that's about how you're going to achieve it. But then you actually want to write down the different channels and activities that you're going to go about doing that. So I've just mentioned a few there about programs to increase confidence. It might be about increasing their education through particular courses. And I know there's some neighbourhood house people that are on here, and that's one great way of doing it. But it might also be that people can start feeling a bit more confident by talking to other people. And there are so many organisations that do provide that facility to be able to give people that confidence in their life to then be able to go on to think about how they might reach employment. Then we want to think about who and when are going to do these particular things. So this is where you want to write down specific people, specific names, so that you can attach that to the tasks that are going to be on hand. So who is it? And when is it that they're going to complete that? So is it in 3 months' time? Is it in 6 months' time? Write that date down, end of April, although that's only a couple of days away. So it might be the end of December. So write those dates down. And one of the things that I really like about this particular thing is that you can come back to this, and then at that particular date, you can actually go, yes, we've achieved that. Write down your costs. So we talked about budget before. And then we also want to write down the measures. What does success look like, and how do you know you have done well what you've done? So we've got examples on the next ones. I'm not going to scoot through those now because we're just going to wrap up. But these, this slide and the PowerPoint presentation will be available to you through connecting up after. Belle, did you want to say something?
Oh, no, I just wanted to say, yes, that we do need to wrap up, and sorry that I wasn't on the video today. Just in completing this last part, this is just bringing everything together and putting that why, how, who, when, the cost, and the success measures, which are really important. The other thing that we wanted to check is just to take the pulse of the audience. So do you have the skills required in-house to achieve your marketing plan? Yes, no, professional development required, or outsource? Yeah, so I think we'll have to finish that up there. And Laura and I just have a gift to offer everybody. Okay, so we've got 59% have the skills in-house to achieve their marketing plan. That's fantastic. 6% don't, 29% need some professional development, and 6% needing to outsource. Okay, well, that is great. There's plenty of webinars that you can get through Connecting Up, which is just fantastic. So I hope that helps with your professional development. There's also a wrap up and a gift for you from both Laura and myself today. So Laura, do you want to speak to yours?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Belle. So we're giving you the chance for a confidential chat to myself in a Master Trust session, which will go for 30 minutes, and we can do that via Zoom. And we're going to talk about getting really clear on your marketing ideas and perhaps some of those challenges and goals. So even things that you've completed today and jotted down within that marketing plan, if you would like to touch base and work through that further, you will see that there's a click here link down the bottom, and that will send you to book in with me. Excellent. Thank you, Belle.
Beautiful, thank you. And in conjunction with that, you can reach out to both Laura and I. I'm offering this is an oldie but a goodie. I have a lot of fun doing these strategy calls about your website, and offering to go over your website and have a look at giving you some points for improvement, or you might have 3 burning questions that you want to ask me with some fresh professional expert eyes looking at your website to help you improve your online presence. So by all means, send me an email and I will provide the first 15 organisations with a link to book in with me. So that expires next next week on May 5th, and you can access both Laura and I can't recommend Laura more highly. To have this opportunity from her is absolutely fantastic. And myself, I've given over about 100 of these sessions now. They're really fun, and I just love meeting and hearing about all the different not-for-profits out there. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. We've gone a minute over time already, and I'm sorry I couldn't see you today, but hopefully I get to see you on Zoom at some stage. And thank you, Laura, for being the face of this webinar.
Perfect. Thank you both so much. That was really good. Thank you everybody for joining us today. And like I mentioned before, you will be receiving a copy of the slides and this webinar towards the end of today. I'll make sure I've included all those links that have just shown up on the last page and the Dropbox links as well, in case anybody missed that. So thank you once again, and everybody have a great day and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much, Jane.